When you encounter overzealous salespeople who quote the pages of Man's Search for Meaning, do you hear Viktor Frankl turning in his grave? When your manager spouts esoteric verbiage to you and your colleagues, do you run for the hills or turn up the volume of your portable hi-fi music player? While listening to a lecture by an art critic, do you develop such a severe headache you jot down the contents of your will? For those of you who walk for recreation, do you swing your hips like a veteran prostitute? Has anyone ever mistaken you for someone else? Were they so adamant regarding your identity that you had to show them your driver's license? Do you have a secret hiding place similar to a treehouse? Does this shelter have more security than Adolf Hitler's Wolf's Lair? I know what you are thinking. There she goes again with that Hitler guy. But in case you haven't noticed, there are members of our population who either don't know the Holocaust happened or believe the Holocaust was a Jewish invention. Speaking of Jews who invent, have you observed that Jews created some of man's greatest innovations, or such advances had a Jewish man or woman at the helm? Morris Louis Bernstein, known professionally as Morris Louis, was one of the earliest practitioners of color field painting. Albert Einstein derived the equation E equals mc squared, which means a large amount of energy could be released from a small amount of matter. A patent was awarded to Hedy Lamarr and George Antheil for the frequency hopping spread spectrum. This transmission technology was intended to make the radio-guided torpedoes used during World War II harder for enemies to detect or jam. Jonas Edward Salk discovered and formed one of the first successful polio vaccines. Have you ever heard of the Protocols of the Elders of Zion? The Protocols of the Elders of Zion was a document forged by the Tsarist Russian secret police in the early years of the 20th century. It claimed to be an account of a meeting of European Jewish leaders that outlined a conspiracy by Jewish communists and bankers to overthrow European governments. Between 1920 and 1927, Henry Ford's newspaper, the Dearborn Independent, translated the Protocols of the Elders of Zion into English and printed it, along with a series of articles that would refer to Jews in every context as at the root of America and the world's ills. Henry Ford's moving assembly line for the mass production of an entire automobile reduced the time to build a car from over 12 hours to 2 hours and 30 minutes. Fritz Haber was the German physical chemist, awarded the 1918 Nobel Prize in Chemistry for materializing a method of synthesizing ammonia from nitrogen in the air. Haber's breakthrough enabled mass production of agricultural fertilizers and led to a massive increase in the growth of crops for human consumption. During World War I, Haber was involved in the making of poison gas, which was used in an attempt to end the stalemate that had ripened in the trenches. After the war, Haber and his colleagues were successful in one other area of exploration: developing pesticide gases. This research was later developed into the Zyklon B, which was subsequently used by the Nazis to murder more than 1 million people, including members of Haber's extended family. If we can forgive the man who invented the moving assembly line for his anti-Semitism, can we also forgive another man for research that later developed into the poison gas that killed more than 1 million of his people? How many souls are going to turn in their graves if we do this?